I was
Yep.
born ready.
Brian, this show is perfectly funny. Where did it come from? Where did you come up with this
Wait,
idea?
that guy. That's where it came from.
You're pointing to Leia on my
Oh,
Zoom.
I don't know where whoever is not me,
Point
Brian.
upward. You have to point upward on my
You.
Zoom. Um, this show is an experience of dealing with meetings that both Tom and I have actually been in together, and myself separately, and everything like that, where we've talked to executives, agents, managers, you name it. We've done pitch meetings, everything along those lines, and the stories that we've had and things people have said out of the blue. It just blew my mind. Going, I have to make a show of this someday, just because it's so off the wall, the things that people say to us. And so that's kind of what the basis of this show was. It's not based on one individual person per se, but it's based off of a ton of experiences all meshed together and showing how crazy this industry really can be at times.
Did you always have yourself in mind then, Brian, for portraying Stan?
Normally, I put myself as smaller roles, but for this particular character, it was something where, because I was so heavily involved with actually being in the meetings, and because I wanted to do a lot of Asian-based jokes, I put myself in on this one, because if I'm going to make fun of some Asian, I might as well make fun of myself in the process of doing that. If that makes sense. Because a lot of it was Asian based things that were said to me and stated and everything like that. I would go into certain meetings and some people would say to me, "Oh, are you looking to do a kung fu movie?" or things along those lines and stuff.
Well,
So
can I tell my favorite story about taking business meetings with you, Brian?
absolutely.
All right. So I have set up several business meetings, and this is apropos to the show because while it is, a mockumentary about the industry, it's for anyone that has ever worked a job in their life because I'm sorry to say we've all experienced these things. And when I say that, I mean like, inequality of pay, racism, nepotism, favoritism, any ism, you name it, people or someone has gone through it. So what I find really funny is I will set up a meeting for myself and Brian. And when we get there, they're like, "Well, where's Brian Metcalf?" And I'm like, "Well, he's right here." And they're like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Really? Really?"
Yes, that has happened more than a number of times, you could say, for sure.
Thomas, I have to ask you about your wardrobe and the look for this character. There's a handlebar mustache, there's glasses, and of course, the backward cap. How involved were you in crafting how he would look?
I was more involved in the willingness to do what Brian asked me to do because he was like, "Look, whenever so Brian and I we've been working together for 20 years. We've done, a half a dozen feature films. We've done, other like pitch things, that are essentially shorts. We've done all sorts of productions together. So Brian's main thing is every time we're gearing up to do something, which first of all, I wasn't even ready to do this project with Brian. I'm like, wait a second, we do horror. We went into drama. I loved that film. I loved Adverse. I'm like, you have no business in comedy. I'm in comedy. You're not in comedy. And I gave him a hard time. And then he showed me that he knows what's what. And then when he started asking me, like, listen, for comedy's sake, I need you to have this mustache. For comedy's sake, I need you to be overweight. You can't be like an in shape, disgruntled, producer who's spent his life, working his way up to the bottom of the ladder.
Right. So for Adverse, he was actually in really fit shape. If you take a look, he actually goes shirtless for a little bit and has a six pack going there. And then for this, so the whole point is that I wanted him to not look like Tom normally looks. I wanted him to have a very weird look to him that was very much what you would see in certain people. And that's kind
yeah,
of
he sent me pictures of Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec. He's like, "You need a stash like that." I'm like, "I'll do my best." I don't have the full stash, but I was like, it was like the baby version.
It suits
exactly.
you. I think it suited you. Sorry, Brian, but I think it suits him. Well, at least
Most
for
My
would
the
kids
disagree with
character.
disagree.
that.
My we had the premiere last night, and I'm sitting next to my son. He's like, the first thing he says as soon as I get on screen, he goes, "There's your mustache." But of course, he's playing Tom Arnold's son in the show, and he was fantastic. I think he's a scene stealer, my son.
Fantastic.
No bias there.
Well, it was funny because when we were talking about having Tom's son in this, I was like, Tom's not going to play your son though, dude. He's like, he's not. He's like, no way.
You mean Nolan? I'm Tom.
Nolan, yeah,
my son's
no.
Nolan.
I mean Nolan. Sorry, Nolan's not going to play Tom's son. He's going to play the other Tom's son, and he's going to be a pain in the ass for you. So it was a very fun dynamic to do it differently and everything. It's too easy to make him his son. So
talk about like references that fly over the heads of the younger generation. I said to him last night, I go, well, I was talking to somebody. I said, well, Nolan's very nice. He's not like the Dennis the Menace that he is in the episode. And he's like, who's Dennis the Menace? Why are you calling me that? What does that mean? I'm like, oh, I've failed as a parent.
I have to say, there's so many incredible co-stars to this. Thomas, how did you guys compile these incredible people to be a part of this series?
Well, it's twofold, right? So the first sort of thing is that I obviously have been working in the industry for a long time. I have a lot of friends that also work in the industry. Like, for instance, Tom Arnold, we worked together on a film 20 years ago. We've stayed in touch, but he was the kind of person that would kind of answer back, but was like, a busy guy. When I sent him the script for this and he said he would read it, he got back to us right away because he understood this character and wanted to be a part of the project. So while there is relationships that got us those opportunities, it was really Brian's screenplay and his episodes, that his writing, that drew them in, the final blow, so to speak.
And can we say we've worked with a number of the cast on Adverse? We have 4 cast members from Adverse who are in this show as well, or our last film, basically.
Was it always in mind to have Mark Pellegrino be this virtual presence in the series?
Yes. So Mark and I were working together on a documentary before this, and I've gotten to know Mark pretty well, and I've gotten to understand his personality and everything like that. And I said, dude, you would be so perfect for this. And we're going to play this part up and everything like that. And then it was really great to see him play this nefarious sort of drug dealer, sort of shady investor type character. And so he came and met with Tom and I on the lot on one at the time before we left it because of the strikes. And it was just one of those things where he gelled well with both of us. So,
I think he was going to be there on the day, but then he was busy working at the time, but didn't want to miss the opportunity of being a part of the show. So we essentially shot him remotely while he was filming something else.
Exactly.
There are so many hilarious moments through and through. I have to ask Brian, and I have to ask Thomas as well, which ones were the hardest for each of you to keep a straight face during?
It's strange because when we were in the zone, while we did crack up a number of times at different things, when we were in the zone, I think we were kind of really feeling it to some degree. I mean, Tom goes a little method with his character of Joe, of this curmudgeon-y type person, because he was stressed from producing on this at the same time, and I was stressed from producing on this. So our dynamic as Stan and Joe really worked out well for that particular bit. Obviously, we are clearly not the characters we play on the show.
Or are we?
Or are we? Exactly.
But I think what Brian's trying to say
you're
is
that good of actors.
I'm not that curmudgeon.
Blur the line.
I'm just slightly curmudgeon.
Yeah, only slightly curmudgeon. Exactly.
I would say that what typically happens, and this is for me on all sets. There's never like something that is really funny in the sense of the scene, but just sometimes you get the giggles, and there's no rhyme or reason. And I think it has happened to me on at least one occasion on every job I've ever done for 36 years, where you're gonna at some point, you're overworked, you're tired, but you're having a great time, you're happy to be there. You're just gonna end up with the giggles, and that happened to us a couple of times on this shoot where We just couldn't keep it together, no matter what. But then, finally we did, and we got the shot.
And we actually I ended up putting in those shots because I ended up editing the all the episodes. I put a number of the genuine laughter shots into the actual scenes of the show. So those were genuine reactions from us. No acting needed.
But are there moments then that were sort of surreal for you looking back while you're editing these and going like this from page to how it turned out is just better than you even envisioned it to be?
Well, I think that's been the jobs of all of the actors who were working on this. Tom and David and David. Yes, we have a bunch of the similar names and so forth. They added their own little nuances that are not written in the script.
Can you say Kelly and Kelly since she plays two roles?
Yes, Kelly and Kelly. So that's right. Each actor added their own little bits to it that made it that much more funny and things that I never added into the script. They had little sayings here and there, or Tom would think of a little quip here and there at the end of the scene and I would be like, that was pretty funny. I'm going to add that in, or things like that. So it's just everyone having a good time and really understanding their characters that they were all able to add an extra layer to it that made it so much more fun. And then there was a real sense of camaraderie that we all got along together because we all had a really good time on set.
Thomas, what do you think it is about Underdeveloped that's really going to make it such a fast fan favorite series? I really think that people are excited, or at least they will be, I should say, excited to sit and binge episode after episode because it's so funny.
I think there's a lot of really good things that people will latch onto with this show. First of all, the most obvious is that it's a mockumentary, so it's going to fill this gap that a lot of people are looking for, that new Office, that new Parks and Rec that they don't have and haven't had for a minute. So there's that aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the relatability, because it's not inside baseball. You don't have to understand the filmmaking process or, behind the scenes of movies, though a lot of people really do understand because of, behind the scenes footage and commentaries that we've all watched now. But you don't have to know that. It's really like a workplace comedy that deals with very important topics. And so even though we're doing it in a comical way, there's important topics here that really need to be addressed. So this is sort of a relief from that, because unfortunately, we're all experiencing those things. I mean, look at SAG and WGA being on strike due to, inequality of wages for the people doing the labor. And that exists in all industries, not just entertainment and not just for actors or writers. So this is a break from that, because we do need to discuss these topics and they need to be on mind. But at the same time, we also can have an escape from it and laugh at it, because it sucks to go through it in reality.
Absolutely.